find yourself getting beat with this deck, which, I mean, if you find yourself getting beat with this deck, you know, that comes few and far between. This deck's too good. So, here we go. Start off, we got Lionheart Maverick, and this guy isn't all that great. The only reason why I keep him in is for the mana curve. Like I said, it's a 1-drop, 1/1 with Vigilance. Vigilance is a throwaway ability. I mean, it's not all that important. Its ability is throwaway. I mean, if you find yourself having to use his ability, then you've probably lost the game because, I mean, his ability just costs too much mana. You shouldn't be saving your mana just to use that almost worthless ability. So, but we keep it both in for the mana curve. Righteousness, target blocking creature gets +7/+7 until the end of the turn. It's an instant. We're taking that out because there's a card that's better than that does the exact same thing to all creatures. Here we go. This guy is pretty good. A quarter paladin. He has battle cry. He's a 3/1. The fact that he's a 3/1 makes him die pretty easily to a lot of things, but he has battle cry. He's pretty good, and he makes sure the creatures get way bigger. So, Beknighted Cavalry, 2/2 for 2, and he has flanking. Flanking is pretty strong in this format. Whenever a creature blocks this guy, that creature gets neg1 until the end of turn. And apparently, if you block this to a reassembling skeleton, like I said, if you block this with a reassembling skeleton, like I said in a previous video, you won't be able to get that skeleton out the yard until that turn is ended. So these guys stay in. It's pretty good. 2/2 for 2, first strike and lifelink. It's pretty good. Obviously, we're gonna keep the Knight of Metal Grain in here, and she's kind of cute. Kind of cute. Keep that in there. Knight of White Orchid. This card's also pretty fun. 2/2 first strike because, I mean, come on, it's a knight. Of course it's going to have first strike. Let's just slap it on there. His ability's pretty good too. When he enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands than you, you may search your library for a plains card and put it onto the battlefield untapped, because it doesn't say tapped, then shuffle your library. So obviously what you want to do is lay that down before you play any land, and then you'll be able to play 2 land in 1 turn. Leonin Skyhunter, he's a 2/2 with flying. See, I wanted to take this guy out, but just for the simple fact that you don't have a lot of flyers in here, we're going to keep him in. I might end up going back to take him out, but only because you don't have a lot of flyers, I'm going to keep this guy. Moment of Heroism is pretty good for the tricks, especially because you have first strike guys in there, and if you got any walls that you want to take care of. Walls really hurt this deck. Any deck that has walls to be put in, they could really slow down this deck. And what you want to do is you want to win fast. You don't want to get your opponent to late game, because with all these other decks, they do have late game win strategies. And so if you let your opponent get to late game, you're pretty much on almost a level playing field. So with that said, this is good to get rid of the walls. So I'm only going to keep 1 in for now. So 2/2 first strike, protection from red. You're going to need protection from red because, as you can see, one of the decks that beats this deck is Unquenchable Fire, so you always want to get the protection from red in there. Spectral Rider, he's in the Auramancer deck. He has Intimidate. He's pretty good, but we take him out because Intimidate's not really all that important. And considering that you might run into the mirror match a lot, he'll just die because they can block him. This card is really good. One thing that you people need to notice is that when this card is out on the battlefield, when they have this artifact equipment out onto the battlefield, this can dramatically shift a match, okay? Because haste isn't all that important of an ability, but the fact that you can give a creature haste with an equipment, that totally changes the outlook of the game. Now you have things to worry about. It's the same thing with Training of Elements, where you can give all your creatures haste with that artifact. Now you have things to worry about. Oh, like you could deal so much damage to me in 1 turn. So you really got to be careful when you see this out there. Really plan ahead. You don't want to be caught with no blockers when this is out here, because something bad could happen. So we'll keep that in there, and it's pretty good. Gives them hexproof too. White Knight, first strike, protection from black. Might as well keep it in there. Youthful Knight, 2/1 first strike. For mana curve purposes, as you see, we have a lot of 2-drops. I'm going to take him out of there because he's got one in the back. Not that it matters because it has 2 in the front and first strike, but we'll keep him out of there for now. This card is really good, Beknighted Knight. And the way I see myself playing this card is I never play it main phase. I always play it right before my blocking step to kill one of their creatures. So this is basically removal in itself to me. That's how I use it, and that's how most people should use it. So we keep that in there. Beknighted Lancer, for 3, it's a 2/2, and if you kick it for another 3, it gets 2+1/+1 counters on it at first strike. So basically, it's a 6-drop. And because it's a 6-drop, I'm going to take it out. I'm not going to play it unkicked. I mean, it'd be a waste of time, really. I mean, if you're running the fast variety of this deck, then you keep it in. But not going to keep it in. Great Sword, it's pretty good, but I'd rather not have it in there. I mean, mana-wise, and the fact that this is a fast deck, I really don't like it, so keep that out. Hold the Line. I actually really like this card. Some people might not run it, but I do, because it gives all my creatures +7/+7, and the fact that they have first strike is pretty cool too. So, most of your creatures have first strike. So, with that said, I keep this in. Kemba Skyguard, flying. That's the only reason why I might keep this in here. For now, it's going to stay in. I might take it out, but because it has flying, it's the reason why it stays in. You know, I'm going to take it out. Fuck it. Ignore all that. But if you do want to keep it in, I can understand because it has flying, and this deck struggles against flying decks sometimes. Knight Exemplar. This is probably the reason why a lot of people don't like this deck is this card. Knight Exemplar is just way too good. It has first strike like it needs first strike. It doesn't really need first strike because people will be pretty content to not swing in with this even if you didn't have any creatures out there. But its second ability is the reason why it's pretty good. Other knight creatures you control get +1/+1 and are indestructible. That's enough said. This card's really good. With that in mind, you should always pay attention to the tricks because people learn pretty fast that if you block the indestructibles and you kill this, you're pretty much board wiping. So always keep that in mind. That's why I keep the Moment of Heroism in handy to keep this alive most of the time. But this card's just pretty good. It's pretty good. It's really good. It's the reason why this deck is pretty up there in power. Knight of Dawn. If you find yourself struggling late in game and you have this out there, you pretty much might have won it. This is somewhat of a win condition. I mean, you're getting in there pretty much every time. If you have enough mana open to swing in, you're swinging in, protected most of the times. And this is a win condition, so this stays in there. Mirran Crusader, double strike, protects you from black and from green. Insane, he stays in. Paladin and Vok, protection from black and from red. First strike, pretty good, stays in. I like this equipment a lot because it gives, not necessarily because it gives first strike, because all your creatures has first strike, but because it gives trample, vigilance, and haste. Now, I said that vigilance was a throwaway ability, but the bigger the creature gets, the more important vigilance is. And if you find yourself with one creature and you have this equipment on it, it holds down sides. So we keep this in here. This card I don't like that much. The mana requirements are too much. It's a 3-drop for a 2/2 flanking. Flanking's pretty cool, but the fact that its pumping ability costs 3, don't want it in there. Aliborn Cavalier. This is pretty good, but I find that it gets people in trouble a lot because what happens is they'll swing in, they'll tap something down, and they'll swing in with their whole side thinking it's safe. And usually it is safe, but the problem is that you're swinging in with your whole side. That person can just swing in back. Yeah, I mean, you could keep tapping whatever blocker they leave back, but, I mean, it gives people the incentive to be aggressive, and sometimes you don't want to be too aggressive. I mean, if you see the opening and you're not afraid of your opponent, then by all means, always swing in. But this doesn't tap them down and they stay tapped until next turn. It only taps when he attacks. So, I keep this in here, but, it's not an amazing card, for sure. Armored Ascension, it's pretty good. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each plane to control and has flying. I'm going to keep this in here for now, but I think I might take it out in favor of the one that gives vigilance and flying instead. Cloud Crusader, it's 2-3 with flying and first strike. It's pretty good. I'm going to keep that in there. You know, I'm going to take this out, and we'll keep that in. Kinsbale Cavalier, night creature you control at double strike. Insane, that stays in. Martial's Anthem, we all know what that does. Insane, that stays in. And guys, you don't have to worry about multi-kicking it and waiting to play it. If you see the win, go and grab it. Put it down. Win the game. Because you have so many good creatures. It's not like you need to go back and pick some up, So play that as soon as you can, most times. Sarah's Embrace. I like this enchantment better because it gives it vigilance and flying. And so, you always have a blocker back if you're going against a flying deck. So we'll keep that in. Smite the Monsters. Now this is one of the only removal cards in here. If you're not counting the flash first strike guy. This removal is tricky. It's pretty good. It gets rid of the big guys. That's the intention of this card, is to get rid of the big guys. But there's also tricks too. Let's say you're down to not that much life, and you find yourself in the rare case where you need to block with your Knight Exemplar to make sure that lethal doesn't go through, and the opponent's playing like a mono green deck and they rampant growth, you can play this card and kill it, because guess what? Now that creature's power is greater than 4. It's 4 or greater. And bam, you just saved your Knight of Exemplar, and you probably just turned the tables on them. The only thing is that when you find yourself using this card, it's late in games, and because it's late in games and this deck is fast, this card is not really, it's not really key to this deck winning. It's more just to save you from losing. So I only keep one in. This card is good, but I only keep one in. This card's not that good because it's a sorcery and it's not an instant. Yes, it gives you somewhat of a win condition, but you don't want to find yourself in that situation where you make 2 creatures fly and they plummet one of them and it's the one that you needed. So that said, take it out. Iono's Judgment. I really, really love this card. This card right here, this one, and Path to Exile, I would say that, except Black Sun Zenith, Black Sun Zenith is the best removal in this format. Iona's Judgment and Path to Exile, those 2 cards are the second and third best removal in this format. And the reason why is because it kills the Eldrazi's. It kills... Oh, it doesn't really kill it, because see, here's the problem. Oh, not the problem, but here's the awesome thing about exiling a creature. You're not killing it. So yes, the Eldrazi's are indestructible, but the thing is that if you exile it, you're putting them away from the game. You're taking that card off the game. You can't play that card anymore. That's not part of the game anymore. That's what exiling does. This is really good. Path to Exile, those are 2 really good removal cards. So these stay in. I keep both of them in there. So, no purpose. When a creature you control deals combat damage, you gain that much life. Blah, blah, blah. It's not that important. 5-drop, flying first strike. Again, this is more preference. If you like to keep these in there, then cool. Me, I don't. I take it out. And the Mass Calcify, again, it's preference. If you like to keep that in there, cool. Me, no. What I think about when I think about big cards like this is that, do I want this in my opening hand? No, I don't. I'd rather have a 3-drop in my opening hand. Same with this. Do I want this in my opening hand? If I could get there, cool. But I'd rather have a 3-drop in my opening hand. I want to be fast. So with that in mind, we take Mass Calcify out. So I'm left with 1 card that I have to take out. So, what am I going to take out? That moment of heroism is really staring me in the eye. Oh, because I got this. No. Don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. So, I'll take one of the Cavaliers out. And as you can see, the curve, The curve is exceptional here. We go, starting off small to high to small again. I would love some more one drops in this deck, but it's not like you need it. It's really the deck's still really good. And there you go. That's my 60 for this run. Again, this is just a guideline. This deck's really good. If you're having trouble winning with this deck, I mean, then maybe Magic's not for you. I guess. I mean, I don't want to be rude, but this deck's too good. I mean, anybody can win with it. So there you go. I'm Frizzy, and you guys have a nice day. Peace out.